Hi, my name is Patricia Mezu, and I am an advocate of the education and development of young learners. Impact the Child is part of my service to children living in sub-Saharan Africa or even of sub-Saharan African origin. So this is for the children, and I'm going to be answering questions. I received a question from a colleague and friend about her two children who are under 2, and she wanted to know where she should start when it comes to play. I believe one child is 18 months and the other is just a few months old. Think about a newborn, a couple of months. So here are my 8 tips. And feel free to share this video. All right. First of all, start with you. I have brought up 2 wonderful now young adults. And I remember when I was first-time mother, I was living in London at the time in with a nice social support. My mum was there. My siblings were there, as was my husband and some of his family members. And I had friends. And when I had my first child, I had to move to Singapore within 6 to 8 weeks. And I ended up being in a space where I knew no one. I'd never had a child before. I had no idea what to do most of the time. And it was frustrating. It was difficult for me. However, I had determination on my side. I had prayer on my side. And I had also done a Montessori course, an early childhood educational course. And little did I know how important and beneficial that would be. So I'll just skip forward a few months later into my time at Singapore. I met a couple of people. I met people who had children a similar age to mine, and I began to make sense of the whole process. The reason I'm telling this story is that I don't want you to think that I'm coming into this space as someone who is perfect. Not at all. Even as a Montessori qualified individual, I still had to go through the process of becoming a successful mom. So I'll go back to the 8 tips. Start with you, start with yourself. It's really important to put yourself first. And if you're not, I suspect you might not be, this is the day to have a mind shift and to look for things that will keep you reminded of putting yourself first. I used to think it was so selfish to put myself first. But I realized after some time, and I'll be honest, this took me a couple of years to work out, I was showing up on many days as burnt out, as stressed, as distraught. And I looking back now, I think to myself, goodness me, if I had really put myself first, which is the second point, started with me, prioritized my days, planned my time, it would have been a totally better scenario for everyone in the household. I've learned over time to have a ritual to start off my day. So I don't just rush into my day at the sound of somebody else's drama. And I know with young children that can look so different, especially if you have a young son or daughter who is either being breastfed or is on the bottle and all of that. But I still feel that there is space for you. And it actually doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Put in your little routine. Look for even 20 minutes in your day where you are just in that place of peace. I don't know what your rituals or routines look like, but mine looks something like a screen-free space, reading Holy Script, just quieting my soul, sometimes singing, sometimes just being silent. But I learned to have a ritual. Sometimes it might be listening to a podcast that I love, or listening to a teaching that is going to benefit me. Whatever that ritual or routine looks like, I really strongly recommend that you follow through. All right, so that's tip 1 and tip 2. Number 3 is about decisions. And I would say if you're married, decide that your other half, your husband or your wife, I don't know whether men will ever listen to this, is definitely part of the parenting equation. It's not really possible. And then I would say it's not fair to your child or children to think that you will be the only one to show up. Again, I'm talking from experience. When my children were young, I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband was the breadwinner. And so there was this unwritten and unspoken kind of agreement that fell into place where I ended up doing most of the parenting. And it's not that he wouldn't do any of it, but the priority was his work. And then I was kind of the stay-at-home mom who took care of everything in the home. But I would say, looking back, and things did change after some time. And my husband, well, he was on board. But I feel that there's always scope to talk these things through and decide, even in terms of time, who does what, when do you do it, how do you do it, and make no assumptions that because if this is the case for you, because the other party is working, and perhaps if you were a stay-at-home mom, that that other party will not be involved in parenting. And I'm talking about hands-on stuff here. So that would be another tip. My 4th tip is about allies. Hang on. Think about your allies. Think about people in your ecosystem. Who do you know? Who do your friends know? Can you get a part-time carer that is affordable? Can you get a part-time cleaner that's affordable? Are there any relatives that can visit for a couple of months and just be in the home to help you? Choose wisely with this, by the way. You don't want someone adding to your stress. One of the things I ended up doing, I remember when I was living in Holland, was that I found out that there was a source of university students who were available, reliable, sensible, and they would pop in for babysitting. Young people who love children are always a benefit. The question is about play. So really, it's about getting people on board, or even yourself, of course, but sometimes if you also want to break, get people on board who are young and who love playing. I literally used a 16-year-old at some point. She loved playing. She had all these lovely ideas for play. So that's what I would say in terms of allies. You are your own best friend, by the way, and your own ally. All right, where am I? Number 5 would be prayer. And I've just written there, nothing is too small, nothing is too large. Pray anywhere, anytime. It's all about the ask. And use scripture to weave into your prayers. But I believe God hears and sees everything, even the silent screams. Sometimes you just are in there, just screaming for help and for intervention. And do pray for your children. That's one thing one of my wise friends told me. She said, Patricia, if you have a child that appears to be a little bit of a challenge to you, pray what you want to see. Pray for a peaceful child. Pray for a child that listens. Pray for a child that is full of joy. Whatever, I don't know. Pray for a child who is content. And wow, I can't thank my friend enough for those words of wisdom. They work. Prayer in this kind of prayer actually works. Number 6, compassion. Use compassion for yourself, for your husband, for your loved ones. I'm still saying put yourself first. Use compassion for yourself. Use empathy. Use words that speak empathy, that speak grace to yourself, and compassion and passion for who you are, rather than using judgment, criticism, or comparison. Number 7, I ask you to look at your environment. What does your physical environment look like? If your children have their own separate room, what does it look like? Are there toys everywhere? Do you look at your home and think to yourself, oh my goodness, this looked so different before I had children? Well, I have news for you. There's no need for that. It's really around being strategic in the way that your environment is organized. And if your children have a lot of toys, and I think a lot of children in so many places do, but some people don't have that luxury. But if you do have a lot of toys, I would say, put them away and give your children or child minimum choices. They don't have to be overwhelmed with 10 or 20 toys and multiple soft toys and all of this. It's confusing. So I have a whole talk that I could give on what your physical environment should look like. So that's enough said. Just minimum choice, and that's the same even for clothing. Sometimes people have clothes everywhere, shoes everywhere, and all of that. Just let the children see a minimum amount of stuff so that they understand what it is to be in an organized environment. And toys don't have to be everywhere, by the way. Set up a little corner that's just for your child or children, which goes on to point number 8, the last point, about choosing resources and activities for play wisely. I'm going to start with a negative because I see them in every toy shop I seem to walk into. Noisily, purposeless toys that may be the trend at the time. And I'm not saying don't get your children toys that may be trending or whatever, but really at age 1.5 or under 2, you are in total control. So I would say avoid those noisily, purposeless toys. I usually favor toys that have purposeful learning outcomes that will actually teach my child something. And it could be as simple as Lego. It could be as simple, or not Lego for under 2, it would be Duplo. It could be as simple as wooden construction toys. It could be as simple as a train with a wooden track, pegged puzzles. Again, I could go on, but I just want you to get the point of choosing toys that are purposeful, easy to set up, and age developmentally appropriate for your child. so that he or she, especially I'm talking about non-babies here, if they're toddlers walking, they can actually do some of these things on their own, and they will provide challenge enough for them to be engaged for a little time. I would say invest in good quality products that stand the test of time. And in terms of resources and activities for play, a lot of it is really around, again, back to timing. I know what it looks like, and feeling as if you're out of control, you can't take control of your time. But believe me, there is a way to do this. Even for your little one who is babe in arms, there are toys available. And if you are interested in getting a list from me of recommended toys and activities that are age appropriate, just email me at hello@impactthechild.com. I just want to encourage you, whoever you are, that solutions are out there, and someone else has traveled on this journey. So I hope that my words have been of encouragement to you. And what I'll leave you with is have fun. This is a precious, precious time. And enjoy each moment.